So Lynn and I first came to La Crosse, 2008, 2009. You know, we saw in this community a community that cares about its schools, cares about its kids, cares about its families. And as superintendent of schools, I saw that as well on a consistent basis. And so this is a way for us, I think, to put an exclamation point on our own careers by providing some funds that we can make available to teachers in areas that we have seen in our career as really important and as important staples for us to move our careers forward, but also move communities forward and move education forward.
I was a physical education teacher for 35 years, and there was always things that I wanted to do to enrich my classrooms. And with budget restraints and things, I had to go out and find money and write grants, and I wanted to provide the best and the most up-to-date and the coolest stuff for my kids to experience at my school at Longfellow in Rochester, and I want to provide that for other teachers. And all the research shows the more that kids move, it's better for their learning. Those neurons get popping, and it just can blossom into something. Those kids that are struggling academically, when you put that physical education piece with it, they can have success in both areas. So like bikes, snowshoes, fishing, getting them out on the river, kayaking, canoeing, all those different things. And I'd like to see this grant provide some of those opportunities that maybe their normal budget could not, and these kids could just expand. I mean, this is a beautiful area. There's kids that live in La Crosse that have not been out on the river or at the river doing an activity, and I just love to see that with this grant.
Well, I think this is an important part of the grant opportunities because I think so many times, at least in my experience, you know, we drive a lot of the curriculum, we drive a lot of the best practices and instruction, and many times we're going so hard at it that we forget about those important, sometimes nuanced pieces about just being people, good human beings. And it's really important for educators to stop along the way and acknowledge and recognize the human attributes that are just important for people in a civil society. You know, whether it's being an honest person or whether it's having compassion or empathy, you know, for a classmate, having resilience, for instance, being able to be self-dependent. These are all things that we really encourage our teachers to stop, take time to acknowledge with students, but also take time to teach those attributes. These are built on the core values of the School District of La Crosse that were developed way back in 1985. And there's no reason that they shouldn't be at the center of core values in the future. Just being human should be some of these core values that should be driving this. But how do we, at our school or in our classroom, you know, what are ways that we can utilize funding to really promote selflessness, or to promote respecting each other, or to promote compassion and empathy? Very similar to when we talk about character and those values, core values. I think that serving others is something that also gets left behind sometimes. When we get so busy with delivering the curriculum and getting results, etc., that's important. But we sometimes forget that one of our roles as human beings is to help others, and to help others along the way, and to help them do the next best thing that they can do. And so I think it's really important from a servant leadership perspective to provide opportunities for our students to do that.
One thing we should talk about is doing servant leadership in the building too, where if kids are in need of things like even clothes or washing machines to wash their clothes, that's servant leadership too. I think it doesn't have to go outside sometimes the walls of the building.
Sure.
Servant leadership it's an everyday thing. They need to recognize among their peers that some kids are suffering and not, you know what I mean, even if they're hiding it, they need to be more sensitive and compassionate, and it starts just with your everyday life.
As superintendent of schools, you really leverage your community and work inside of your community to create partnerships, collaborations, because what we understand is at the end of the day, if we're going to be outstanding in education, it requires all of us, and we all need to be connected with that. And while I was superintendent of schools, I was very fortunate to have the support of so many community members. Certainly, a lot of them just being able to provide the moral and ethical support with a phone call once in a while, but still also several community members who financially would support initiatives and ideas and bringing things together. Some of the very things we're talking about in this endowment is to continue some of those initiatives. We're very thankful to those individuals, companies that have stepped up to support not just the time that I was superintendent of schools, but also support this endowment, and have been able to add to the amount that Lynn and I have brought forward to begin this, because I think it's going to, for many years to come, provide great opportunities for students and teachers, administrators alike, to make a difference on important things in classrooms and schools.